Hi there. As requested, this is John Palmer, and I'm going to do you a quick meta lesson on how to do Cornell Notes. So you're going to need a sheet of A4 paper, and if possible, if you've got a ruler, the first thing you want to do is divide up your page. So you're going to do the top of the page like this. You're going to do the bottom of the page like this, maybe about 5 lines up. And then in between the two, you don't want to be at the margin, so you want to come in a little bit, and you're going to divide the page like that. So your page will look a bit like a sideways H. You can do it on plain paper or on lined paper, or as recent events have shown, if you go onto Amazon, you can actually buy a Cornell book that's already made up like that. So I'm going to tell you what they do, and I'm going to show you how you make them as I go along. So we're going to concentrate now just on this box here, and this box is for note taking. So I'm going to take the notes, but I'm also going to write down everything we do. So the first thing we did, for example, and this is where in here you can just write in note form. This is the stuff you write down as you're going through the lecture or the seminar or watching the video or doing your reading, whatever it is that you're taking notes on. So I'm going to write up here, so divide page. You can use abbreviations, top 2 lines, bottom 5, and then a third from the left, roughly. Okay, so that's my notes for that. I'm then going to write date, title at top, and I'm just going to pause now to do that as I'm writing those notes. I'm not going to be doing this all along, but as I've done it, so I'm going to put the date, for what it's worth, is the 29th of June today. And I'm going to write here Cornell note taking method. And the idea there is that as you're going through your files, you obviously know this is the page where I did the Cornell note taking method. So I'm just going to talk you through what you do. So the box on the middle right is for taking notes during, and I'm just going to call it a lesson for now, even though you could use a lecture, you could have a seminar, a video, as I said. Notice, even for me, this is quite messy writing. That's fine. I can read what that says, and I can check on it afterwards. Okay, so this is the only area I focus on during the lesson. Okay, so after lesson, I reread my notes and I write keywords and questions on the left over here, and I'm going to do that afterwards because I'm going to, it's an awful arrow, I'm going to do that afterwards because I'm sort of showing you the whole process, and that's a part of your revision. So you could do things like cover and answer the questions to make sure you've understood it. So the questions going down here are made for revision. After that, finally, you do a summary on bottom. Okay, and that's it. That's all the notes. Normally you'd have all this covered in notes and little diagrams. What I might do, just to be even more meta, is I might draw a little diagram of what my Cornell Notes page looks like, just so that I remember this is not to scale. So I'm going to put, there we go. And so it's not to scale, it's just a little diagram. So date, title, my notes are in here, my keywords and questions, and then down here I have my summary. Okay. Now the idea is really you don't use this very much afterwards because you've got everything summed up here. So once I've done that, I'm going to change my pen color because it looks pretty and it can help to have different bits to focus on. I'm going to write my questions down here, and my questions have to be things that I know the answers to, so they're not sort of big questions or anything like that. Okay, so my first question would be, okay, so is that pink going to show up? Yeah, it is. Yeah, so how do I divide up the page? And that's the answer to that there, so I know how I do that one. Okay, so my next question might be, I can either write, what do I write in the top, or where do I put the date? I think I'll put, where do I put the date and title? Do I write my date and title? So middle areas for notes. So where do I write my lesson notes? So that's lesson during. So okay, do I focus anywhere else during the lesson? Answer to that's going to be no. Do notes have to be neat, or you know, in sentences or anything like that? The answer to that's no. Okay, so what do I do after the lesson? I reread my notes, I write keywords and questions. So where do I write keywords and questions? Questions. How can I check understanding? That's going to be cover, check, etc. And then where do I write my summary? So you need to be quite expansive with these questions here, because they should be all the ones. If you can answer all those questions, you know everything there is to know about the subject you're writing about. In this case, Cornell Notes. So I might go away for a day and leave it like that. I might check a couple of times if I'm able to do it. And then I want to have my summary at the bottom. If you imagine a folder full of these sheets, or a book full of these sheets, your big thing is going to be these summaries here. That's for testing your revision, but you can always check these summaries as well. So I'm going to summarize here. So I'm going to write, and this is where you do it properly, not in the note form. So divide page, top 2 lines, bottom 5, left 1/3 in. Now it's going to be fairly similar to the notes because haven't done an expand. It's not been a long lecture, but imagine over a lecture you might have a huge amount of notes. I can say write the date and title at the top. Make notes in rough during lesson on the right of the page. create revision questions on left, and summarize at bottom. So actually I have summarized it more than I did up at the top, at bottom. Now this is how I literally teach a class to do Cornell Notes using this. So I'll go through, they'll follow along. I'll do the questions with them, and then I'll tell them to write their own summary at the bottom. And then because it will be the first time I've done it, I'll then have something that we can use to for them to practice that. So it can be quite useful at the start, for example, to do it with a short topic so that they can practice doing it. And as I said before, I've used it from Key Stage 4 onwards, but actually I think it probably could be used earlier as well. And that's your tutorial.